Go ahead.
So if I had to pick, okay, I'm going. So if I had to pick one person that I would like to be educated by, I think I'll have to go with Tony Robbins. And that is because if you read his story or heard his story, he literally came from a very rough life, like really rough. And he had a lot of what people may call disadvantages that would say he shouldn't be where he is. And I've watched several of his videos, several of his teachings, and really watched a lot of his interviews. And the principles that he's learned over the decades that he's been alive are tools that has caused him to not just make millions, but to really, really impact a lot of lives. And because that's my overall goal, I would love, like, if I had the opportunity to maybe, like, hire him one day or sit down with him one-on-one, I feel like he could teach me a lot of things that would not just change my business, but would allow me to really learn people, because I feel like he knows, like, he studied the human, like, he studied people. So that's what is, like, one of his advantages. And I feel like if I could learn some of those skills, it would totally transform my life. So I'll have to go with Tony Robbins for sure.
And he actually has a podcast. Funny you mention that. He actually has a podcast produced by his company. So I think you guys should check out his podcast. Now, where can people find you, and where can people find the book? And I know you're doing a Thunder Trap campaign. Is that still in effect or no? Where can people find you? Where can people find the book? Where could people find the Thunder Trap campaign?
Yes, you can find out anything or keep up with me on my website, which is natashaweston.com. You can follow me. I'm on most social media platforms. So I'm on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and I'm on Snapchat at Official Tottie. So the same all the way across. And the Brand You Like a Boss book, you can order at brandyouLikeABoss.com. And as far as the Thunderclap campaign, we actually exceeded our goal. I think we are now at like 102 supporters, and the goal was for 100 people. But you still have time if you'd like to support the Thunderclap campaign and bring social awareness to the book on Wednesday for the book launch. You can definitely still participate, and the link is bit.ly/all caps support BYLAB. And so that's how you can stay in touch with me.
So people could go and pre-order the book off Amazon.
Yes, you can order the book off Amazon, or if you want an autographed copy, you can go to brandyouLikeABoss.com. So you can pre-order it on both places right now.
And Natasha, I have another suggestion for you. I think you should upload the manuscript of Brand You Like a Boss to ACX. ACX is entity of Amazon, and what ACX does is turn the book into audiobook.
Really?
So ACX.com. Google ACX.com, and I will text it to you after the phone call. And so I think you should put Brand You Like a Boss on audio tape, because I think this will impact a lot more people, and a lot more people are reading audiobooks now because they're spending so much time in the car on their 9-to-5s that so many people, including the disabled, love audiobooks.
Yes, they do. I actually was thinking about, how I would go about doing it on audio, because that's definitely the next best thing, just period. I've been turning a lot of my content into audio so that it's accessible to multiple people. And so I'm definitely going to look at that. So thank you so much for sharing that resource with me.
Well, you're welcome. You gave me a kick in the ass, as I said. So now it's time for me to turn around and give my resources to you. But before I let you go, because you're such a phenomenal interviewer, I'm going to let you ask me a couple questions about anything that you've been dying to ask me.
Absolutely. So the first thing that comes to mind, just from, the little research that I have done and from watching you on Twitter, because that's the platform that I see you on the most, and just from all of the amazing interviews that you have done, because I did take the time and I went back and listened to some of your past interviews. And by the way, you are doing some phenomenal things. And I just want to tell you that you inspire me because you are showing up every day, and you can't help but to appreciate that. So I have to wonder, because you pour so much of your time and your insight into others, whether it be the people you're interviewing or your audience in general, where in the world do you pull inspiration from? What things inspire you, and where do you go when you need to kind of be refueled a little bit?
I listen to She Podcast, which is run by Elsie Eskimo and Jessica Kuffman. I listen to Dreams and Drives. I did listen to your podcast, so that's where I get my energy up. I said to someone once, don't buzz me until I had my cup of coffee, and then Lee had one of my favorite podcasts in my ears, and I can function. But that's how I do it in the morning. My poor dad, he finds me with my headphones in my ears in the morning, and I live with my dad, and he is one of my sole caregivers because of my hemiplegic cerebral palsy. And so my poor dad, he sometimes finds me in the midst of a podcast, and he goes, "Win, I'm here." And I'm like, oh. So that's where I get my, Natasha's laughing at me because she knows it's all the truth. Once you listen to a podcast, you can't stop. So, yeah.
Right. That's true. And you sound like you have an amazing team of people around you, just from the interactions I've had with Danielle, and then you just mentioned your dad. And I think that's also very important for people to know, is that you can't do it all alone. And, it's good to have a team around you that will make you laugh and that will keep, pushing you when, because things do get hard sometimes. You get a little discouraged. That's life. So I think it's cool that you have, your dad there to keep you smiling, and that you have Danielle to kind of just help you keep things in order. So I think that that's pretty cool. So let me ask you, I have another question.
Go ahead.
You have a podcast, which is very successful. You've interviewed some amazing people I haven't heard of, and now that I've listened to your podcast, I'm like Googling them and looking them up because I want to learn more. And so I think that your podcast is already very successful. So have you considered that? I know you started your career in journalism really since, I think I heard at the age of 6, right? It was like 6 years old or something along those lines.
I quickly discovered I had CP at the age of 6. I didn't know what CP was until I was in 7th grade and then again in high school. But it's so funny because it's so funny you mentioned journalism. I'm actually going back to school in the fall to get professionally trained finally because, I'm getting my associate's degree or possibly my bachelor's degree in fashion journalism, only to make my podcast begin better, you guys. So I'll be using my self-taught skills to now get professionally trained.
Awesome. That's so awesome. So do you think that, you discovering that you had CP really kind of sparked your interest in journalism? Because I'm sure, you did some research and you were curious to learn more about it. So do you think that had something to do with, like, you really taking off with the whole journalism thing?
Honestly, and I'm going to tell you this question honestly with one answer, yes. And you are the first person, Natasha, ever to ask me what's the story behind your journalism. And so honestly, me having to get help and me having to understand my disability and accept my disability. That's why I'm driven to now get a degree in journalism, and that's what drove me to start this podcast.
Right. Wow. That's wow. That's awesome. Like, it's just, isn't it crazy how just life really points you in the direction you're supposed to go in? Like,
Yes.
it's, I think, and
Yes.
I try to tell people that all the time, if you just let life happen and just pay attention to the things you're going through now and the challenges that you're experiencing now, it will point you in the direction that you need to be in. And so oftentimes people will say, well, I don't know what my purpose is. I'm not sure what type of career I should be pursuing. I always tell them, what things are you experiencing now? Let it lead you to where you're supposed to go. It's the best place to be in because you know that what you're doing is from the heart. And so, like, seriously, kudos to you. I'm proud of you. And I'm looking forward to really connecting with you even more now because I was wondering, like, how did she get into journalism? That was, like, my real question, like, the whole time. So I'm so, like, happy to know that you just let life point you in the right direction. So I'm proud of you.
Yes, and I also had to stop and smell the roses moment, which you guys can find my books on Amazon. And before I let Natasha go, this is my PSA for today. Please, 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 when you buy Brandy You Like a Boss, or when you buy Icon the Win, or any of my books, my 7 books, my 8 books, my 9 books, whatever you do, when you look up an independent published author, please, 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 please leave a review for those independent published authors, because all that helps is more visibility. So as Natasha said at the end of the podcast, please, please, please leave a review. It's the same thing on Amazon, you guys.
Absolutely.
So I would love to thank Natasha for coming on and sharing her story, and we're going to make this episode a 2-part episode, and I haven't told Natasha this, but because her birthday's Wednesday, I'm going to air this episode on Wednesday so people could hear about her book on her birthday, and then when it releases on my birthday, June 22nd, you, let's hope you can get to #1 best-selling author on June 22nd when the book releases, so that people can buy it. Yes, and buy it on Kindle, buy it in paperback, and let's land You Like a Boss.
Thank you. You are awesome. I had so much fun just chatting with you. I really enjoyed it. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
And I hope you guys enjoyed another fabulous episode. This podcast has been sponsored by Grace by Grit. Grace by Grit is a clothing line out in California, and they're giving you 20% off when you type in the checkout code of Exo Butterflies, and that information will be in the show notes. And again, I thank Natasha for rescheduling and doing all this hard work on Brandy You Like a Boss. Let's make her a #1 bestseller, and also me a #1 bestseller in July, because I have another book coming out in July, and I want that #1 bestseller status again. And let's Brandy You Like a Boss and make this world a better place. Thanks to you guys.